Hi everyone, welcome back. In this video, we're going to talk about municipal codes, codes applying to a specific city or county or jurisdiction. And that will bring us into the topic of zoning. And finally, we'll talk about building permits, what they are, and when you need them. So here in California, the California State Building Code is adopted by individual authorities, which might be your city or your county. All right. They are adopted as part of the municipal code for that jurisdiction. But there is more municipal code that also applies to your site, and that's usually called the zoning code or the zoning regulations. So each individual city or county will have specific zoning regulations for your building site. What is zoning? Why do we have it? What's its purpose? Zoning is the way your government, your city government, your local government will control the physical development of land and the kinds of uses that each piece of land can hold. All right. There's generally a zoning map, and here is one for Redwood City that illustrates the different areas, the individual properties, and what kind of uses can be put on those properties. So using zoning, a municipality, a city, or a county can control the types of activity that happen on a property, the location and bulk of the building that is located on that property. And finally, if you're looking for parking and some street regulations, they're also usually in the zoning code. For example, that's very appropriate to residential is how many covered parking spaces that you need for your property. What tools are used in the zoning codes to control these things? Lot coverage regulations, floor area ratio, also abbreviated FAR, setbacks and easements, and finally requirements for buildable area and possibly even buildable envelope. All right, so we're not going to go into a great detail of those, but as you move forward in your profession, if you're looking for this kind of information, it is not in the state building codes, it is in your local municipality zoning regulations. Let's narrow it even a little bit more to a point here and talk about building permits. Most projects will require a building permit for construction, renovation, even some for demolition. All right. Obtaining the permit requires that you prove that you satisfy the conditions of the codes. So what is a building permit? It's the way that a municipality or an authority enforces all of their codes and regulations. All right, so local governments adopt the codes and the regulations to make sure that buildings meet minimum standards. All right, and then they enforce the codes using building permits. Now, some clients and even some contractors, and maybe even some designers, might need some convincing to apply for their permit. Why would you need a building permit? It's my own land, for example. I don't need someone else to stick their nose into my project and tell me what to do. So you as a designer need to be prepared to make the case, why do you need a building permit for this project? Well, first of all, enforcing these construction standards ensures safety. In most cases, it's illegal not to get a building permit. It can keep your contractor honest by having some inspections. It can guide a do-it-yourself project, all right, and keep that safe also. And this is a key one for many people. The building permit keeps your insurance valid. If it is found that you have constructed something without permit, it usually will negate or void your homeowner's insurance. So that's a big deal. And finally, having work done with permits can be valuable to your property when you sell your home. So some types of construction work needs a building permit and some don't. Which is which? When do you need a building permit? Well, you definitely need a permit for all new construction and additions. All right. You need a permit when some existing piece of property or building is going through a change of use. And a really common one is a garage to a living space. That definitely needs a permit. In most cases, you need a permit for demolition. And some people miss that one. Maybe they start the demo of their project before they even submit for the building permit, and then they get in trouble that way. You need a permit in general, rule of thumb, for any project that you add or remove walls. And in most municipalities, in most jurisdictions, you need a permit to replace your windows, all right, even in the same place, and for roofing or re-roofing. That's a little iffy. There's occasionally a city that does not require that, but most of the time. All right, here are some ones that are maybe yes, maybe no. Again, it depends on the specific city and their regulations. You might need a permit for putting in a deck, a fence, a small accessory building such as a shed or a gazebo, or even new siding on your home. Things that don't require a permit are simple repairs. All right, and finally, finish work such as painting and carpets. Right? Usually, requiring a permit are also plumbing, electrical, and mechanical work. Sometimes, if the project is solely those items, you won't need a building permit. You will need, for example, a plumbing permit. It really depends on the city and the particular project. Also, usually requiring a permit, septic work, air conditioning work, irrigation, and solar power. All right, so you've seen how building codes can be applied to your projects and also how the different cities and jurisdictions adopt these codes, and then they use the building permits as a way to enforce them. Thanks, everyone.